for a bit as well.
Although that's something I don't know how anybody watches the video. But here we are for all the viewers,
Thousands of viewers out there,
the alien archaeologists who just want to know what was it like in the early 20th century. Yeah, so Matt, it's the Agile Dev Mob at the hour. We've given everybody else a slip really by like just arranging between ourselves that it would be an hour earlier to fit in with my time change, and you know, I mean, sometimes you've just got to get stuff done, and that's where we are here. I mean, I guess here, yeah. So I guess the backdrop at the moment is that. Yeah, we're not sure what's happening with the assignments and Codio and this, that, and the other. So I think we're like holding fire with that for the moment. It seemed like the sensible thing to do. And we've got something, an ongoing project that we're working on, which is local support. And we have some funding from Kensington and Chelsea Social Council to do some mapping work for them. And we're looking at repurposing part of the local support code to support that for them. I've got to cycle back around to the research side of all of this, but we've kind of like, we're doing this white labeling, which actually fair progress has been made on. There's some bumps and starts there. That's all going okay. I've also got, and maybe I should send this email right now. So one of the things to note is we've got these two different directories in the Kensington Chelsea Social Council page here. One of which is a list of organizations, and the other one is this self-care directory specifically for social prescribing, which is all linked into our work with the NHS. And this one is a list of activities that then are, of course, all provided by organizations. It's not clear to me how they're linked up. We are going to be putting all these in a map. The initial dumps of the database that they gave us didn't have the categories and the descriptions. We've now had a separate dump that also has those, but in parallel, the people who maintain this entire site, which is like Civi CRM Drupal backend, which is a group in Bristol called Circle Interactive, are they're being paid separately to do us an API, so that in future we can, in principle, pull this in automatically. But since they haven't done that yet, and they might do it next week, or it might be in a few weeks, we're working with this CSV files, which is something that I've kind of like done an experimental uploading of one of those. So that's a whole thing. I guess I'm just going to send this email. I'm sort of also having like massive breakdowns about like my communication style. I just reached out to the Circle Interactive people to say, right, and we are going to get the descriptions and the categories in your API. And they've said, you can have whatever you want. Do you have a list so that we can ensure that you get everything? And so I've written this, not a hugely long email, but saying like, kind of, well, rather than a list, can we just have everything and just make sure we also get the categories and the descriptions? And it's all the
open source it by any chance. Would that be too much to ask? Just open source it.
I mean, but story of my life is people ask for things like, you know, questions, and I'm always like, rather than just giving them what they want, I'm doing something else. And I think everybody just finds that extraordinarily frustrating most of the time. But I want what I want. And I don't know. I guess I'm gonna send this email, and it's late on a Friday, and probably won't be a reply. I think I'm gonna send it. Screw it. I'm overthinking it. So and that's less interesting for you. This is all, you know, for you down the line. Once you've got border coding and you want to go into like project management, you're like, God, that's Sam. He really overthought things. I'm not going to make that awful mistake. And anyway, so potentially useful or not, as we might see. Also going to try and go to a bigger screen, which I did yesterday, and so on. So let me get rid of that. And yeah, so I've got this is I've got various bits all related to over there. So let me switch the screen sharing to be that one. I could, and potentially you could even.
You're, when you say switch the screen share, I can't see your screen at all. So
no. Oh,
no, I can.
All right.
I can. Yeah. And I put it on your screen for the live share as well. After the live share for the recording.
All right. And then there's a thing here with can I have a different camera on here? New window. It's only working for that camera. Can we not have the other camera? No, only that camera. So there. That's okay. Anyway. You can have a picture of me looking to the side, and then for some reason it won't go above that line. Oh, I don't know. You let me know if you really, really, really need the
Yes,
picture, like me waving my hands around. You obviously seen that enough times. You can imagine what it looks like with me waving my hands around. So here we have the pull request. Now there was I seem to remember. I mean, obviously there was a previous one of like geocode 1.5.0.
Yes,
when the problems sort of started, and I seem to remember an old pull request with you and Robert looking at it.
yes,
and there was some discussion there, and obviously this is now a new one, and so on, and that's all fine. Other factors in play here are that, oh gosh, what is it? That it seemed like when we were like testing, pulling things in from the Charity Commission API, that they weren't geocoding on the local support side. Do you recall that?
I remember the issue, but I was having a difficult time like replicating the issue. Like I went there and yeah, I do remember the issue though. But like it seems that like most of the tests are passing, and like actually going to in the develop like environment like a local host and checking things out. It seems like things are being geocoded. Just maybe some things are not being geocoded.
You mean in production?
In production, in staging, and develop everywhere.
Right. Although they're still on 1.49 though, right? They're still
Correct.
on the old geocoder.
Yes.
Right. When you say, I mean, you say geocoding is being working. I guess what you mean there is we are, I guess, with some frequency pulling in new data from the do it and reach skills and so on, and they are appearing in the map.
Correct.
We think, and
check that yesterday. I mean, the markers, the way the markers work is they need to have that geocoded support, right? I mean, I guess it's like there's different.
They need geocoded. If they're not geocoded, they won't appear in the map.
What's that?
I think you're right that if they're not geocoded, then they will not appear in the map.
Yeah, I mean that was a question of mine because there's some of them I can't remember if it's reach or do it come in with like latitude and longitude, and so don't need to be geocoded.
Right.
So those might work, but the other ones wouldn't. They just have an address, and those seem like they definitely are working. It's just like the organizations that we're trying to import is what I understood.
Right. And so I think like organizations and volunteer opportunities and events are all potentially like different citizens in terms of how the geocoding is operating.
Yes.
And something that I have remembered from just having run, things to import some of the data from KCSC is that on a first pass, when you import organizations, they will not be geocoded. Right. They are kind of not geocoded by default. And that was actually something that we specifically added. So like if we look at the organizations controller and it's, I know there's confusion as well, base geocoded, right? Is that rather unlike the thing that you just added to the event, and I mean, this was also, I feel like this was an outstanding issue with just, or was it? Yeah, I mean, I've never seen events appearing on the map in my memory. Were there even tests? I don't. Anyway, the thing that you've added, which I think is what the geocoding gem recommends. So exactly the right thing to add. So that's all well and good. But so I think, so obviously after validation, what this means is that anytime that you save and create an event, then you'll geocode it, and that will make a network request. And so in the past, like in trying to make local support easier to get set up for new developers, because one of the seed operations, like basically parses and sticks like 800 organizations in, we set it so that we didn't want the geocoding to happen automatically. We basically set it up so that geocoding would happen when explicitly requested for organizations, but not automatically, which raises the valuable question in my own mind about, so what is it for volunteer op? So the volunteer op has an after, like you just added to events, it has an after validation step for geocoding if it has an address.
Yeah.
Is my font size a bit small?
A little bit, yeah.
Yeah, let me increase that.
Can you see me squinting?
I can. That's right. The value of me being able to see your screen, your face, as opposed to the yes, yeah. So you can see, yeah. So that this, what it makes me think actually. So I think I had assumed that there was like something fundamentally broken with our geocoding. You know, like there was this upgrade path and blah, 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 blah. I think actually the whole situation might not be as complex as I had feared that it was. But we will see. But so going back to the organization situation, so what we've got is we have got a little thing saying if you do geocode, please use the full address, which is like the address and the postcode and all the bits and pieces. Fair enough. And what we also have is we've got like this. We've got rather than having the validation, we've got this explicit method to check the geocode to say, right, make sure this is geocoded. There was also, like you can see in this run geocoded, there was this sort of I forget the details of it. There was like we had a situation where it was like geocoding unnecessarily and different stuff, and so there's this rather complex. I mean, ideally these comments should be turned into actual method names and so on. But what this is doing is trying to only make the we're trying to. I think there was a particular issue that in the past, like if you only change the it was due with the address and the postcode. If you only changed one of them, it didn't kick off a geocoding operation, and so with like to sort of this was the convoluted logic to make sure that the system behaved the way that we would expect at the surface. So ideally there'll be some like feature tests relating to all of that, but it's it's not immediately understandable what's going on there as noted by the comments. But that's not necessarily critical. If we go and look for where is check geocode called from, so we can see that, right. So if we create an organization through the controller, then we so if you've submitted a form, that will get automatically geocoded.
But in the import, we're not doing that.
Right. We can also see here this is the proposed organization.
Wow.
Well, there, but yes. So I mean, I think we do. Oh, actually, sorry, I've restricted there. So also we can. This is you probably have not yet had time to read my excessively verbose spewings into the pull request.
I skimmed it. Yeah.
You are a god, sir. Most mere mortals, you know. I mean, I'm just, you know, I'm awful, but you are a god. But yes, so I was mentioning in there this factory steps.
Yep.
Which is one of the things like I like in attempting to address all of this, I took this individual feature and went to the feature file and sort of stepped through it and looked at, okay, where is it creating it? How is it creating the organization? What is it doing to create the organization? And I was seeing in the test, right, so when we do this, we go back over to the map feature there. Yeah, basically the map feature is starting off with, given the following organizations exist, and that this is the, you know, this is the step definition. It's going and creating all of the things. And the one that was failing in here was the one that sort of, it basically checks that, it starts off by checking that, is this the right one? One of these anyway. It starts off by checking that they're in the same place, and then it changes the address and checks they're in a different place. So this was, you know, but so it's all, like the initial geocoding is all based on that factory steps, which I've now got over here. Is that right? No, I've lost it. Yeah, there is, right. Yeah, factory steps over here, where it's saying, right, following organizations exist. So it creates the organization out of the table, and then it explicitly forces the geocode, and then it saves it. And interestingly, here we can see this VCR use cassette, where now does this? I mean, you're familiar with the VCR gem?
Yeah.
And so, what like does that? What does like? We're kind of wrapping the process of creating the organization here in this. Does that all? Is that you're like, oh yes, I know exactly what that's doing. I don't need Sam to explain that in any more detail.
Yeah, I think it's clear.
But so what? And as I was noting in the PR, I was then like, okay, right. So we're doing this, and we're making sure that any network connections that might go out through these 3 steps are there. And so I could see, like, having run this one test, there are changes being made in these files, and these files all correspond to. I mean, that bigger as well. the exact pattern that we see there, which is the org name followed by the postcode.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like,
actually.
And so I was looking in those diffs. It was clear that what we had is that these files had the stored network interaction of a request to Google for the thing, and I could see it going in and coming out. And I could see now running it with the new version of the gem is it was going to OpenStreetMap. So PCR was operating exactly as it's supposed to, which is that basically we were now making a brand new network connection.
Yep, exactly. Which we need to check in.
So it was ignoring the contents of the cassette, and it was now saying, right, there's now, and it was, I think the way we have the test set up is, it doesn't, like you kind of have it set so that it like goes broken if it makes a new request, which, I don't know, getting the VCR configuration such that it's like not a total pain is anyway, another story. But, so, it then made it, and I've got an example just here that actually this comes from one there. So for example here, this is actually, I've moved on to looking at what's happening with the volunteer ops. And we can see here, the request is going out to this nominatim openstreetmap.org.
Yep.
So, and yeah, I was looking through, I have it up here actually in a different browser. So I've been going, so I was in here and I was looking at the changelog and yes. You know, there were changes and that was 1.5.
Yeah.
What I just, and so I then, so there was, I fixed the thing and I was moving on to investigate this, but then when I went back to this again, I was like, change the default street address lookup from Google to, and then I was like, the default one? You can have something other than the default one?
You can.
Right. And so what I was then like, oh, okay. Rather than adjusting all of our test suites to work with Nominatim, why don't we set the geocoder config to use Google, and then maybe all the tests will just pass. And so that's what I just did, and without any changes, the at least this is just one of them. One volunteer test passes. So, nice. So I mean, in some ways, I'm feeling a bit like, oh, I mean, it was good to kind of review all of this, but actually, I mean, like I had sort of thought from the discussion that we had with Robert before in the thing that it was like we've moved up onto this new thing and like the Google requests are now not supported anymore. I think that was just maybe my but maybe my completely erroneous impression. I thought we were kind of like, right, we will just have to drop it. Do you know what I mean? Can we see? Is this the? Yeah, it's what's going on there. That's weird. I have told it to turn back on. Has it turned back on?
No.
Huh. I'm going to come in and out.
Okay.
Okay. Let's try that screen recording. Sharing again. Share. There we go. You see now?
Yes.
All right. Yes. So in fact, here we go. I've got this is like Robert commenting on the pull request. Right. Yeah. Actually, he says they changed the default lookup provider to Nominatim and sometimes are failing. The fix is change the config, re-record the cassettes, and push. Which it could be, but another fix is explicitly request it to do it with Google. But
I mean, I saw that you could change. I saw that you could change it, but it wasn't clear that you could change it to Google. But I guess, like, I mean, I guess it makes sense that you could, but I didn't think of trying that.
Just looking at this.
I was reading my comments as well, and I don't know if they make sense. Because I was thinking that we might actually need to change more things about how, because we're using the Google API key, but it doesn't look like it. I mean, it looks like the geocoding can be using OpenStreetMaps, and we can be using.
Yeah, they are potentially independent. I mean, the interesting thing that I found is that we have, well, So, I mean, I'm starting to suspect that actually the problem that when we did that import of the stuff from the Charity Commission API is just that we hadn't explicitly requested geocoding. Like, you know,
Yeah,
I think I incorrectly diagnosed it as, oh, there's some big problem with geocoding. But actually, it's just that we hadn't requested it.
Yeah,
actually,
I agree.
Upgrades, the simpler upgrade path to use the latest thing is just to switch. And I mean, you might argue like we should be using OpenStreetMaps instead of Google.
Yeah, I would argue that, but anyway, it's not something I would argue should keep us from doing delivering what we can to the client first, because like we might think that like, oh, you know, it could be relatively straightforward, but as we know, like if you leave things until the last minute, it could be not straightforward, and then we don't deliver, or we deliver something that's not as good of a quality as we want, and that's like I mean, I would prefer using open, like if we could not use Hangouts, I would prefer that as well, but we're using Hangouts, so
Yeah, well, no, that's the thing is we've got, we understand that there are sort of legacy commitments and yes, but so yes, here we come. So the interesting thing is, or there's so many interesting things. Another interesting thing is, if I can find it, I lost it. Right, is that so I was reading more about the geocoder and the config, and what I just did locally was oh gosh, no, I can't even find it. Oh, yeah, well, here you go. Yeah, so like you can generate a Rails, a geocoder configuration, and then you can specify various things.
Yeah, I saw that, and I saw that look up Yandex.
Right.
And I was thinking of kind of using that, like copying and pasting that, but then it turns out that wouldn't have solved the issue either. But like, and I didn't think like, well, why not use Google? I mean, it's kind of
it certainly wasn't the first thing that I thought of, because I went and I restructured the whole map feature thing, which I'm now feeling like, oh, I didn't need to do that. And then just as I was playing, so what I've just done is that, well, the interesting thing is in particular is that what I find is that we have a geocoder configure in our tests.
Yes.
That I just commented out to make sure that it wasn't interfering. That has lookup set. That was, I just changed it there. Lookup was set to test there.
Oh, weird.
So there's geocoder also provides a way of like, so VCR wraps things at the network level, right?
Yeah.
But if you potentially if you configure geocoder for test lookup, you can actually set the stuff that the geocoder returns here in this file, which is then in principle easier to manage than like lots of VCR cassettes, which are just generally a pain to manage. But so I see that we have this in place, but I don't know that if it's actually even being used. And there's a sort of a separate question about, and you get to that general thing that we find ourselves in, where there's so many changes that you could be making, but which and might be best practice, but which of the ones are the sort of way out of the immediate forest before one tries to view the rest of the landscape.
I say just make them all.
I'll make them all. That's right.
What are the risks? What could go wrong?
What I've just done, what I'm tempted to do here actually is just put this back in the way it is. Oh no, that's interesting. So SES added that a year ago. Right, probably as part of the events thing. Right. So that
I changed that yesterday to use coordinates instead of latitude, longitude, because I think what I understand now.
Yesterday.
What's that?
You say you changed this file yesterday?
Yeah.
Oh, it's not showing me any changes in this file from you, but I don't doubt you.
I thought you had reverted the changes. But
well, I just I just commented this a moment ago. I commented the file out just to make sure it wasn't interfering with something else I was doing. And I think I now have the file in the state that it is on at least on the geocoder 151 branch. Although I might be wrong. Let's have a look. Yes. So
yeah, interesting.
I think the file in this state was how SES added it a year ago. But that's sort of meaningful for me because I was looking at this and thinking, oh, did we originally add this like 4 years ago when we were doing all the stuff with the VCR cassettes? Oh no, Cess added this as part of her, trying to get the geocoding working for events, not realizing that we were, had generally been using the VCR approach. Although actually, maybe this is a better approach, but that's, neither here nor there. But I guess in terms of the key change that I've made in here now is that I generated like a geocoder for the main system, right? So this now sits in config initializers.
Yeah.
And this is, it gets generated like this and with, nominative in there. And I just made the change to make it Google.
Yep.
And when I ran it a moment ago, and with this all commented out, the volunteer thing passed. And I was like, right. Because, of course, it's basically, we've reverted it back to doing exactly what it was doing before. Yeah. So I'll just run that again to check that we could get away with only that change. Yes. And, I mean, I guess what I'm tempted to do to kind of resolve this thing and make it so that we can upgrade to Geocoder 151 is potentially just check this in and revert the changes that I made to upgrade the map feature to handle nominatim, and then we'll potentially have a green pull request. Yeah, so that's just passed again. I've also got I was using show my page to look at the way that the what's it called? They were failing previously is, I think, and you can't really see because it's not zoomed in properly. It was expecting to find one marker in the map, but as a result of the difference in the geocoding, it was ending up generating multiple markers because of slight differences in the way that nominatim and Google geocode. So,
I mean, I was having a hard time even looking at this, like show me the page, because like I've talked to you about it before, and I think you have a way of getting around it. But my VS Code is always opening up, like instead of opening up a browser, it just opens up my VS Code.
Oh, does it?
Yeah, and I've looked at like things that there's like extensions that you can add that tell it like, hey, stop opening up VS Code. I want you to open up my browser, and I just haven't gotten past it yet. I mean, it's kind of an annoyance, but it's not like something that typically.
No, totally. That's
although like as I was seeing with Wolfgang, and I was experiencing yesterday with Human Connection, it's like working on different projects, like different little things, like not being able to console log and reliably see what you're console logging in the server output can be a real blocker in like trying to debug,
Oh, totally.
So
absolutely. Well, and I mean, it's like my ability to get to the bottom of this was hugely supported by me using, but I wanted to use pry by bug. I couldn't remember what was the right command for it because you went with me. But so I know you would have been sickened by the lack of coloration. But I just used, I wonder if I can just scroll back up to it.
Well,
go on.
I was going to say, I think with local support, I still haven't put in a PR to even add pry by bug to.
Oh, okay. So well, then I'm glad I didn't try to go down. But so you can see here is I stuck a by bug in the run geocoding.
Yeah. And then you're like squinted to try to understand the black and white.
I know, it's awful, isn't it? If only it was in color. If only someone would put in that pry by bug PR, we could get that merged and sorted out. But what it allowed me to see is for the two places that were supposed to be in the same location, that were supposed to be starting off in a different location, I was able to relatively quickly see that the latitude and longitudes, and I was basically like stepping through the creation of all of the organizations and being able to see it like, oh, and this time it's been geocoded here and this time it's been geocoded there. So my ability to do that means that I was very, very quickly able to get to the bottom of the problem, also my knowledge of the project. Unlike, trying to get to into this issue with the, Human Connection with the view stuff with Mike, I have no idea if debugging is even supported in Vue. It's a different.
Yeah, it is. Like you probably won't be able to find it now, but if you like in Viewland, actually Federico went there and responded and like gave some tips. But just in general, I think like debugging in JavaScript is not like, there's nothing like being able to drop in a prize statement and like ask as many questions as you want and play around with it and step into different places. Like the debugging, it helps, and console logging helps.
But I think debugging in JavaScript is possible. I've done it for the Electron app, but with the front-end frameworks, it's. So actually, here, as it happens, switching the lookup to Google and even leaving our other geocoder stuff in place allows the volunteer things to completely pass. So in principle, I mean, I always feel like I've done this little bit of work to move us towards nominatim that, you know, I might want, but I guess I can't prioritize that right now.
No, and there's nothing that says that your work's going to be lost.
No, I mean, I guess I've got this. So I've got this fix up. I mean, I guess the interesting thing is what will probably happen now is if I leave this on this lookup as it is, and then I go back to running the map thing, is that the map one will fail because of, well, we'll see actually, because I wonder if we can actually get away with the change, because I was looking in the I mean, the data that's being used in the test is not as realistic it should be, and that the addresses and the postcodes weren't matching and so on. So, I mean, I guess this would, let's see. Oh, Google API request denied. Now that's interesting. So that's failed there. Right. And so I think, yes. So I think we're in the situation here that all of the existing, right. So what this change does, it now means that the changes I put in is it's now trying to geocode slightly different addresses. And this geocoding situation here means that this won't work unless we put in some kind of API key here, which we could be good at putting in, and presumably, if the geocoding is still working, like on the old version of the gem, it's somehow getting it from the environment or finding it from the environment or something.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, that's a good point. Because it's definitely, we definitely have it in the environment variables but that's for like going to the site and like using.
Yeah. I mean, what I sort of want to do is I kind of want to take this commit and put it onto a completely different branch, which would be like, I guess we've got something that's difficult. If you create issues on stuff that are low priority, the danger is potentially somebody from the community comes and does them, and you're kind of like, oh, we want to do that at some point, but I don't know if we're actually ready for it yet.
Yeah.
Oh gosh.
I mean, it's a little bit like the PR that I put in this week about using a local JavaScript. Is that it's like, yeah, great, good job, but maybe not good timing.
which one was that? Sorry, about local JavaScript?
About the Google Infobox .js.
Oh, okay. Well, I mean that's a different one. Yeah, this is related, but that's one where we've got a clear and present problem for new developers onboarding.
Yeah,
that needs to be fixed. So
yes,
yeah, like yes, but yes, definitely related. Oh goodness,
it's just like, it's kind of one of those things that, like, you know, in a perfect world you could merge that in and not be concerned that it's gonna like cause any side effects that would, you know, potentially delay the actual work that we're doing at the moment.
The key thing from that, I mean, if we had the money, would be if we had automated like cloud deploys. So like we have had in the past, the terminal because I can call them, is like Heroku supports that. What it will do on a pull request is then deploy the entire pull request into a Heroku app, which is then linked to in the pull request. You can click through on it and you go there, because with that Infobox one, I mean, the danger is that even though it works on the CI, is that we then put it up onto Heroku and then it then turns out the Infoboxes don't appear, or, you know, I mean, that's the most serious issue. I mean, other issues might appear down the line. I guess what I'm going to do here is, I mean, I guess I've still got this. What I want to do is I want to pull this branch back to a different. I guess what I do here is I look at. I guess that the oh gosh, I guess the commit will still exist here.
Yes,
that one. So what I kind of want to do is, I guess I want to check out to the previous. I mean, I don't know what's happening with events. That's a whole nother. But that feature isn't even live yet, anyway. So there, if I check out to here, I don't know if I want to be there actually. I want to be there. I feel like actually no. Let me check out to develop, and then I guess I can create the issue in Trello. It's not Trello. Local support. Icebox. So I can add a story which would be, and this is kind of a chore. Switch from Google geocoding to, I mean, although the normatim, like, I mean, I guess the argument, I mean, almost I feel like the argument is stronger to switch the maps over. Do you know what I mean? Like, because Google might take those away. I mean, it's a geocoding source. I mean, you know, if Google's providing the geocoding, like, while they're using it, we might as well be taking it from them and not overloading this poor normative. Like, if we make too many requests to normative, they collapse as an open source project. You know, who knows? Anyway, since that's, it would be nice to know the reasoning.
It's amusing to be here, like, you know, witness, like you're like trying to make decisions, but you're trying to get things done as well, because you have like a limited of time to be able to work on any one thing. It's interesting.
Oh, I mean, it's insane.
I had a response to what you were saying earlier, but it's like low importance, and it would like, and sometimes it's difficult to pay attention to what you're doing and try to listen to what the other person is saying. So I'm just kind of like, I think I'll go there on the PR and just add, like, you know, I have an idea. What if I do this? And then you can respond to it later.
Absolutely, absolutely. Oh, I mean, yeah, choosing the right channels and everything. So what I'm doing here, and can I get what I'm doing here is I'm creating a new branch based on the new ticket that I just created, and then I'm gonna cherry pick DC 0786. Now I guess I feel, well, no, I guess I can do that here. Yeah. And then I'm going to do git push origin. I'm just, you know, it should be safe on my system, but I'm just going to pop that, you know, my fix to the map feature that allows the switch to normative there into a branch. And then I'm going to come, what I need to do really, I can come back to develop, is what I need to do is I kind of, if I want to push into this branch, I guess I don't have to delete it locally, but I think I will, because I think it's easier, is I'm just going to delete this branch locally.
Yeah.
Then, how do I get, oh yeah, so now what I want to do is go back to EE77EE5, and then git checkout -B. So now this is what I want to. I want to force this branch to be, like, effectively to lose my commit there, and so I now want to git push origin this, and that should, okay. I'm going to force that, and I'll put the monitor from the end. I keep feeling muscle memory, and then so what I want is add this initializer to force it onto Google, and then git commit -am switch to Google geocoding, and then git push origin. I mean, actually, one of the things that I really dislike about this is the force push, I guess, is that it then ends up screwing up the history, like the way that the PR is viewed here. You can see that I pushed up this fix, and then I made this comment, and so on. And now, as a result of doing this, that commit will be removed, and then I guess actually in this case it's not too heinous, because I actually sort of, yeah, you
can see some force pushed as well, like, so.
Yes,
it's not too difficult to understand what happened.
Yeah,
but yeah, like, maybe as well, like, it could just be, you know, this pull request closed, and you put in a different pull request.
It's true, which might have been cleaner. I think in this case, I mean, there've been I've been in other situations where there's been like a long conversation and there's been like 15 commits and they're all interleaved with the conversation but actually, the number of people who will want to like tease this apart is probably relatively small. I think this kind of like, yes, we must preserve all of the history. It's like, you know, it's like a legal document of, oh, I'm just insane. I was like, I don't know. Overly, my verbose tags have been on my whole life. Yes. So that potentially takes the geocoding. I mean, it's kind of a good, like, if this goes green, which I certainly hope that it does. I mean, it's also, you know, something that's been hanging around in our, like, you know, PRs here for ages. And so yeah, that the map feature is green for me locally, and the I mean, I wonder if, yeah, there are other things that presenting themselves in my mind. One is, I mean, I guess the issue with this thing it has been, looking at this has certainly been enlightening. I guess I worry that like we've been sort of like dealing with this when in principle we could have stayed on 149. There wasn't like a huge, it wasn't like 149 was broke, or it seems now in retrospect that 149 wasn't broken for us.
No.
And kind of actually the core thing that we must do is make sure that we can geocode some of the data coming out of KCSC, which we haven't yet done. Anyway, at least all of these things are green locally for me. So this launch has a reasonable chance of going green.
I mean, this is what you were talking about earlier. Is like, you know, it's, you never know. I mean, had I not, like, obviously I started working on this, you know, thinking that it could help, like, you know, and maybe it will, like, but in the short term, it's maybe distracted us from what the real issue was, and like moving forward with like geocoding things that we need to be geocoding.
Yeah, although it certainly has. I was, I think, like you, certainly the impression that geocoding was broken in a more serious way, and looking at this has resolved some ambiguity that certainly helps us understand that the geocoding is not broken. Maybe we would have discovered that in that's not what I want. Maybe that we would have discovered that anyway. Looking at what I'm trying to do now is I was here. I don't know. Was I actually on a branch? Yes, I was on a branch here. Check out. Right, which is on an experiment. So I was doing import KCSC experiment there, and I was running and I had imported some KCSC data locally, which we can maybe look at quickly, and we can maybe answer the question of whether there is a more serious problem here that we have to address with. Oh, no, that's interesting. But it hasn't got there yet. Or just already in use. Oh, am I running? No, that's the console. Am I running? That's very strange. Oh,
Kill all Ruby.
Yeah, am I running? Address already in use. Really? No, that was my local support windows. Recognize this. That shouldn't be using.
You can do.
Okay. I've got an attempted human connection loading operation in a different place. That was probably what it was. Maybe that's another thing, I think. Ugh. Yeah, I got the new single folder repo. I'm very pleased that it's in human connection rather than in any of the separate ones. But now something is even more broken with my Neo4j desktop, and I guess, yeah, if I want to get into the coding of all that, it's going to be with Docker. But I guess all the documents are out of date about how to get set up with it. And
yeah, I mean, it seems like Docker maybe is just like from the root running Docker Compose up, but you know, who knows if it's actually that simple.
Yeah. So anyway, so here we are here with the organizations, of which I now have like far too many, because I think I need to like dump the local database and restart. It takes like absolutely ages to load this page because I dump it. But I don't think any of the silly. These are actually these ones, this is information from the KCST database. So
Yep.
it doesn't have any it's not geocoded. But
it
so
doesn't even have addresses, it doesn't seem like. So you can't geocode something that doesn't have an address.
I think it has a postcode, which is kind of hidden.
Oh, does it? I didn't
so
see.
if I do here, organization count, oops, spell, 180. That feels like that shouldn't take so long to load the page, but anyway.
Well, it is Ruby, you know.
Yeah. Can I just delete all quickly here? Or destroy all? No. I can't even. I haven't spelled organization correctly. Okay. Okay, that's good. A long time deleting them all. Good God. Right. So, right now we're fresh and we know organizations, and then. Okay, so yeah, I guess what I was working out. Okay, here we go. Right. So here is. Other conversations like Stella is looking at refactoring or she has put in a PR for refactoring the permissions out of the user class. And I don't know if you're following the conversations that I'm having with her, both in the PR and also in the
more or less, but
and where I'm being again hopelessly verbose and we're misunderstanding each other, and it's I'm just proving what a ridiculous person I am. But one brain. Yeah, the user model is relatively small by many people's standards. Like it's only 80 lines or so. Not, I mean,
yeah.
And
some of those are comments. A lot of those are comments.
Right, and so I've been sort of directing Stella to the Sandy Metz's. It's sort of like the refactoring that she's doing is not unreasonable, although it's using a concern, and there's some people who have concerns about concerns. The situation that we have with which class is it? The organization class is much more dire in as much as that is it's over 200 lines, and it's got all of this stuff, all these self methods, which I think if we'd understood about them as services and jobs and so on, would have been pulled out into. And this is the stuff that we're dealing with right now, right? This is also code that I may be tweaking to work with the KCS. It's like we're in this, and maybe part of making this easy to manage and work with is actually refactoring this out. But is that something we want to get Stella involved in? I'm not sure that we do. Now, the interesting thing with the import addresses is that will not geocode them. But so I guess I will just run that. We've got even the after this to the thing out there. And I'm turning off the validation because many of them don't have descriptions, which I'm worried that will block them. And then the import address has got like a sleep in there to 4 years ago from Michael. But so if I just quickly import, right, yeah, this information. So you can see
that's not going to be 780.
Sorry, say again.
Will that be 780? Are you
no, I put a limit there to only import 200, and then I think there's only like 150 in the thing. The reason we had 780 there is I had like 500 from the original system, and then I'd accidentally like run this 3 times and not realize it was working, and so it's like imported like loads of things over and over again. So hopefully
it imports them, but it doesn't actually look to see if there's any it exists.
It does, but maybe the check that it's doing is not a fantastic one. It's supposed to look for the existing thing, but it's maybe doing that based on the charity commission ID, which these things don't have. And these things also, in principle, these are activities rather than, oh my gosh, organizations. And so actually, maybe that we should be creating a sort of a separate activities asset, like, to distinguish it from but that's in the story. I mean, I guess the critical thing is, can we geocode them? And so, I should really stop momentarily, but
yeah.
So I guess there's actually, from the import thing, there's no geocoding operation. I guess actually, if I go into an individual one and I edit it, and then we find here, gosh, this is awful because you can't, there's no information recorded. You can't even see what it is. So that's the address. This thing does not have an address, or what's that? Is that the postcode? Gosh. Yeah, postcode and address. That interface does not work well. We've got no information recorded in those things. But if I go into what is this? HealthWorks project. HealthWorks project, which I can find in the real system. This one that's also the right. We have a number of these things like in the dump that we have. They don't actually have any. Gosh, this thing actually doesn't even like. I'm sorry, I'm looking here on another screen. So I was just like looking for HealthWorks in KCSC. This thing, it has an address. The link links through the blank, and it's got nothing there. And I wonder if I can even just find the actual address. HealthWorks, is it even in Kensington? Can I find out any information that physically this is? Let's just pop that additional information on the end of the search. What I was just thinking to do here was to like actually add just to get an address of one of these things, because as we sort of saw, one way to kick off the geocoding is to
add an address.
Is to do the edit, and if the address is in place, but it doesn't have an address.
Oh, it's to update the yeah.
If we just edit it once, and then and that would be a. I mean, I was thinking of, so this is HealthWorks.
I mean, it does seem like they're asking you to do a job that's pretty difficult with using like. I mean, I understand that from your perspective, we don't want to wait till somebody else provides us with something that doesn't exist because we don't know when that's going to come. But then, like from the perspective of like, it seems like doing a lot of work to try. I mean, you can't you can't put stuff on a map without having addresses.
And the thing that they've given us, like that 2/3 of them do have addresses.
Okay,
so
sorry.
I just happen to have clicked through one here, which doesn't have an address.
But you wanted to add an address to see if that kicks off the geocode.
And I just So I just thought there. Now that's interesting. There we go. Okay. So we've now got an address there. It says organization successfully updated, but I think it's supposed to. Yeah. I mean, I guess this can I find, if I go to HealthWorks project, can I find out I guess this is the stub for it. Can I look it up by the stub? If I'm here and I've got organization, what do we even call that? Organization first.
I think you do where, no?
I can. I was checking whether it was called slug or not.
Yeah.
I think it is. I was just like, and so that has no longitude and latitude. It definitely has now the address and the postcode.
Can you just save that and then call that method
I certainly can. So I'll grab that and then I think I can just do check geocode.
Yeah.
Was it even question mark like this? No. What was it like that? No. What was the method? On base organization. Base organization check. It's check geocode.
Yeah. It's because there's like the run geocode with the question mark and.
Yeah. But that's weird because check geocode is the method on base organization, which should be there, and I've got the org like this. It's org. Right. It's giving me a relation, which is I've got to get like. It's giving me a relation, like even though it's returned when you use where, it returns a relation, which is an array of things. So I'm trying to call it on the. So I check geocode. Okay, like that. Google API error, request denied.
Right. So Google's blocking your API key, or
right. At least for me locally.
Yeah. Is an issue like that brings up an issue that we talked about with Federico, which should be nice to be able to have a valid API key because it makes it more difficult if you do make changes to something with like VCRs and you want to check in the
VCR
you can't
Yes, I mean, although so that you can adjust the VCR settings so that it explicitly excludes things that are certain environment variables and so on and so on. So I think this brings us down to the more immediate problem for us that I think I'm not going to solve right this second because I've got to have a break and stuff. But so this is all the while we've been looking at the geocoding and the upgrading of the gem and so on, and it's nice to get those sorted out. Hopefully we will see that has all gone green. We will see. Reload that. It might not be ready yet. Green! It's all green! But at least, like, we validated all of our... to a certain extent, we validated our theories there. that we understand what's going on. But so, yeah, now I guess the interesting thing here would be, actually, what if we do that Rails generate the geocode config and we set it to nominatim just for this thing? Would the advantage of moving to that be that we don't require an API key in quite the same way, which would be a big advantage for initial developers? But so I can't immediately remember that command to generate. It's like bah.
This is why you need fish shell, man. If you had fish shell, it would be telling you the command right now.
Oh well, I could do
history
R and do Rails. But I've this history control kill history rep generate.
Yeah.
No, because I was in a different window.
Oh right. Then fish shell.
Here history rep. And there we go. It's just that. So if I do now, right. So in fact, actually, to switch to nominatim, well, presumably the nominatim was still available even back on 149.
Potentially.
So I can still generate the config, and we might see here that the config would, well, unless that's a new feature, it puts it into.
Yeah, it feels quite unlikely that they would just switch completely over to it.
Yeah. But we can see here that the default used to be Google.
Yeah, Google. Yeah.
Tim, is that what it is?
I think it's UM at the end, but I'd have to look it up.
I swear I had it open in Theo.
It is IM, I think. NOMINATIM. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I actually meant to get it right there. So right. So having done that, then, I mean, for that, I'd probably sensibly drop out of there, get back into the console, restart the server, and look at what happens here. If I grab what was the first? There's probably the thing to do is the advantage of using the find there is that it gives me the precise thing, so I can do. Oh no! Has that done something strange now? Oh no! Just do all right.
Find by, you know, as you're looking by.
Oh yeah, yep. I actually thought it worked, and I was onto a different problem there. But so we've got org there. So then we should be able to write a geocode, and it says nil. And I wonder here, where there somewhere. I've lost the place. Here it is. Here it is. This is the thing. That's. I'll reload this one as well for good measure. 404 not found. And that's interesting. Oh, was I just maybe looking at the wrong thing? Here. Oh, this is the HealthWorks project. There. That page never had the thing in it. Let's just view their update organization. Yes, so that's sort of failing with an. Maybe an API is also required for nominatim, but it just fails slightly less aggressively.
Yeah.
So I think we'll have to wrap it up there. But yeah, this is a thing where the key issue is to be able to get geocoding working for stuff locally. I mean, whether or not it's for the fact that the KCS stuff has addresses means that being able to sort of reliably geocode something locally with an address means that it'll probably work. So anything we can do to make sure that is something we can have it work locally, and in principle it must work if we see it's working on the server and it's doing it there. But that's because the Gmaps API key is hooked up properly. I guess. Can we see? Is it being fed in? Because I should finish. And there's like the knowledge. I need knowledge. I want more information. No, like here. So I've got no mention of the Gmap API key. There is one specified. In order to do. Oh, well, what is it called? In order to make the map appear on the got, what have we got here? Oh, we've got a Gmap key value for URL, but is that even used in? See, I can't see how the way we've got the Gmap API key at the moment, we've got it in the application helper, like how it would be used for the geocoding. Do you know what I mean? Like we're not telling, as far as I can tell, we're not.
Yeah.
Like in order to load the map, we put the API key in there. But as far as I can tell, we're not telling the geocoding gem about our API key, even on production. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, maybe that's I mean, it could be a recent change, but like to the geocoding gem.
Yeah. I mean, it also might be the case that, like you're saying, like the reach skills ones are coming in and they have got the lat long already. So we're seeing those appear and we're thinking it's okay. And actually, it's not working in production because,
well, yeah,
you know what I mean? I mean, do we know for certain the do it ones, let's say, that don't have lat long, the ones that don't have that long are correctly being geocoded?
No, I mean, I can check. That's easy enough. I can go there and check in production and see if they have the ones that have been imported recently have latitude and longitude. Because if they don't, then that means that
any of the ones that have been imported recently that have latitude and longitude, that doesn't tell you that they were geocoded by us.
I was saying the ones that come in without latitude and longitude.
Yeah. You obviously you have to like check that it came in without them and received them as part of the process. Sorry. Misunderstood you. But I'd say almost more important than whether or not it's working on production for us is making sure that we have a means of making it work for ourselves locally so that we can test effectively. So what I would say is, I mean, it certainly looks like with this geocoder that there is a place to put that API key. So, you know, a thing, and presumably, if you see my screen, like we can, it's sort of as simple as doing this. Do I have to Gmaps API key, and then just having that in our N file, and you know that would all then work. But it'd be good to check that exactly that works. Anyway, I must go and do the subscribing email hour, and you're going to do the algorithms mob, or just hang out, or?
No, I'm going to go eat. I haven't had breakfast yet.
Have a break, relax. I'll see you in the retro.
Yeah, see you soon.
Thanks, Matt. Bye for now.
See you soon.